Hey, it's another week, another recipe, and we are back trying out possibilities for Thanksgiving side dishes, like today's old-fashioned lemon chess pie. Come join me. Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name's Courtney Morris, and I cook history's forgotten recipes out of random cookbooks I find and sometimes websites. And today is one that I have rediscovered after a few years that was given to me by a very dear friend of mine from an old church that we had attended years ago. So I'm super excited to actually try this one out for the first time. If you are new here, thank you for joining me. I hope you make it to the end, and I hope you join our little community by hitting the little subscribe button. We have a lot of fun on these channels experimenting with old recipes. And if you are coming back for more, my heartfelt thanks for showing up. Let me know in the comments that you're here. I'd love to say hi to you again. And let's get into the video. All right, so today we're making a chess pie, and I have never made a chess pie before. I have heard of it, but I have never done it before. And a lovely elderly lady in one of our last churches that we had attended had given me this recipe for some reason, and then I think we moved and it got lost in the shuffle and I forgot about it. And now that it is November, it's Thanksgiving time, and if you watched any of last year's November experiments, I tried to do a month's worth of interesting side dishes because Thanksgiving has not been exciting for me for many, many years. And so I was trying to liven it up by finding some interesting old recipes that might, improve my mindset, which some did and some just made me laugh and gag at the same time. So that's what we're gonna do again this year, is I'm gonna be trying out some new side dish. So I'm gonna be trying out more side dishes for my Thanksgiving table that's coming up. Just to see if it gets more exciting. It's an 8-inch pie crust. I had this pie crust in the freezer from a pot pie I had made a while back, so keep any extra pie crust that you do have because they do come in handy and saves you a lot of time. Now, chess pie, there's some debate on why it's called chess pie. There's a couple different explanations for the name, one being that somebody had asked, "What are you doing?" and the lady making it said in a southern accent, "Chess pie." And so if you say chess pie in a southern accent, it sounds like just pie, chess pie. I get it. The other thought behind it was that back then they had these things called pie chests, which were kind of like the old bread tins that would keep your bread out of the air so it wouldn't go stale as fast. Kind of the same principle. Although the explanation that makes the most sense to me is that way back in the 1700s, there's a cookbook called Martha Washington's Book of Cookery, and it doesn't even have a name, this recipe, but the heading, the introduction to it says this is, and I'm paraphrasing here, I will try to link it if I can find it. It said how to make a really good cheesecake without the cheese curd. So it's technically a variation of a cheesecake, which sounds more plausible to me because you do have the eggs and then you have cornmeal in it, which is odd to me, but it works as a thickener, and otherwise without it, it would be a custard pie. So that's, I guess, the defining feature is the cornmeal. I'm gonna wrap this up and just stick it over here so it doesn't dry out. Okay, so now onto the filling. This seems really simple. I mean, it's just got basic ingredients and it seems like kind of one of those dump pies. There's nothing fancy that you gotta fluff around with. So we're gonna start with 2 cups of sugar, a tablespoon of flour, and a tablespoon of cornmeal. And then we're supposed to mix that around. So it's the mix the dry ingredients first kind of a thing. It's a lot of sugar. I have a feeling this is gonna be sweet. Now there are variations that I have heard of that have vinegar in it to counterbalance the sweetness. And I've heard people say that this is not supposed to be a desserty kind of pie. The lady who gave me this was in her late 80s when I got it from her probably about 5 years ago. So she's, I think, in her early 90s now, but she said this recipe was her grandmother's recipe, I think in the 20s or 30s or something like that. It had been in the family for a while and she gave it to me and I absolutely adore her for it. Okay, I'm gonna stick that over there because now I need to beat 4 eggs. And with this Thanksgiving stuff, I'm also trying to get away from the normal apple, pumpkin, chocolate, lemon meringue kind of pies. Not that I hate them, because I love them, but because we always have them. And I feel like maybe let's spice it up and see if a lemon chess pie happens. Now chess pie also doesn't have to be lemon, I just happen to have one that calls for lemon. Now if there's one thing I know about Southern cooking is it's dang good. That's the only reason I have ever wanted to go to the South. There's nothing else I want to see except fried chicken and pie and pecans and like all the good stuff. So being a Southern recipe here, I have really high hopes that this is going to be really good. And who doesn't love a custard pie? Okay, I'm just going to pour this egg mixture in with the sugar and the flour and the cornmeal and mix it around until it's, I guess, mixed. Now that that is, mixed, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. That literally is what it says. So that means a 1/4 cup of milk, and finally a recipe that I can melt the butter on purpose, not accidentally forget that it's in the microwave and melt it when it's not supposed to be. 1/4 cup of melted butter. I will pride myself in saying that I actually did melt it sufficiently and I did not explode it all over my microwave, which doesn't happen ever. I never had the inside of my microwave coated in butter, ever. If I had a dime for every time that happened, I would be rich. Okay, so you know what's interesting is as I'm mixing this and I'm scraping the bottom, I can feel actually the cornmeal for how little amount it was, that 1 tablespoon, I can feel it scratching. All right, then we need a 1/4 cup of lemon juice and a tablespoon of lemon zest. And while we do that, let's talk quick cost breakdown. So all in all, my sugar was $1.20, my flour was $2.94, my cornmeal was 3 cents. My 4 eggs were free because I have chickens, so that would increase your cost if you have to do store-bought. My butter was $1.28, and my lemon juice 24 cents, and my lemon rind, I counted the whole lemon because it was 33 cents. I'm not sure how to parcel out a lemon rind. But all in all, it turned out to be about $6. So for a $6 pie, it's kind of high. I mean, if you only cut it into 6 slices, that's $1 a piece. But if you're going to cut it into 8 slices or even smaller, you could be more economical with it. You could also use pie crust that calls for Crisco instead of butter, or margarine instead, which would cut your costs significantly. Honestly, I almost wonder if you could cut the amount of sugar in it, because 2 cups seems like a lot. So I'm going to stick it in my pie crust and stick it in the oven for 40 minutes or until done at 350. All right, it is much later in the day and this has had plenty of time to cool off. I actually did put it in my fridge for a little bit to help kind of speed up the process. And it smells good, it looks great, minus the crust here. Real life, guys, at the edge of the rack when I was putting it in the oven, and a lot of the custard kind of spilled over, which was super fun to clean out of my oven. But that's why my crust is a little discolored. But you know what? You're gonna eat it anyways. It is definitely a custard. It's definitely a custardy pie. Because there's so much sugar in it, it does have that nice crystallization. It almost feels kind of like when you make a lace cookie, that just sugary, crumbly feeling. Let's give it a shot. Cuts nicely as expected. It reminds me of, any other custard pie, but kind of like a lemon bar too. It's kind of got that same consistency, and I hope it's done in the middle. I put it in for the recommended 40 minutes at 350, and I think it was done. Oh, it's that custardy part that's baked on. So the part that I got all the stuff on kind of caramelized to the pan. The other side that's nice and white lifts off no problem. So lesson learned, don't do what I do, and be careful when you put these in the oven. Take her out. This is not going to be a very pretty piece, but there she is, nice and custardy. Almost looks like I could have gone a little longer with it, but it holds its shape. Okay, here goes. Oh, really good. Okay, so that's really, really good, but it tastes exactly like a lemon bar. Not so much like exactly like a lemon meringue pie, but it tastes like I just made lemon bars in a pie dish. Not complaining about that. Now, the other thing is I can taste the cornmeal a little bit. I don't even know what undertone that would be. That cornmeal is kind of like, how cornbread tastes. It's kind of got that grainy, wholesome-y taste. That's very slight in here, but enough to have like almost an aftertaste of cornbread. But it's really good. It's really good. Okay, so I am curious to see if I can see this cornmeal in here. Oops. I'm just gonna massacre this. It's already pretty massacred. Okay, I'm going to peel this bottom crust off here. Okay, the cornmeal did drop to the bottom, or I should say the top of the bottom crust. There was a very small layer of it, and if you run your finger along it, you do get that slightly gritty texture, which surprisingly isn't bad. But really, I mean, why don't we make these more often? I mean, I know this is a Southern thing, and it's probably still a big thing in the South, I'm assuming, because tradition reigns strong there. This Thanksgiving is looking up this year. I'm so happy. We have a good start to Thanksgiving month, Thanksgiving season, and I have a new pie to put in my book because I will totally make this again. This is really good. All right, if you are still with me, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope maybe it gave you some Thanksgiving inspiration. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, join our little community. I have a lot of fun here, and I love talking with you guys. We are growing and it's exciting, and also don't forget to check out the community page on my channel. I am starting to be able to upload links and fun little tidbits for you guys, and behind the scenes are coming up, as well as being able to ask you guys some questions that helps this channel grow so I can make it so you love being here in my little corner of the internet. I'm so grateful you took the time out of your day to come join me. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Hit the little bell notification. It'll let you know I upload every Monday with a new historical recipe. And if you need something else to watch after this, go ahead and check this video out right here. I hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. And I will see you next Monday with a new historical recipe to experiment on and hope it's good. All right, have a good week.